Okay, welcome to the future Stars Forecast, and we love to say that we knew them when, and especially when they turn out to be a multiple Grade 1 winner. And I am, of course, talking about the horse there that I'm describing in the video, Flightline, who just dazzled us in the Met Mile. And for numerous reasons. But before I discuss why, let's bring in one of his connections. Somebody you all know and love, one of the greatest ambassadors this sport has. I'm talking about West Point Thoroughbreds, Terry Finley. Hey, Terry.
I appreciate the introduction. You read exactly what I gave you, so thank you.
I aim to please, right? No, but I do mean it in all sincerity, what you've done for this sport and the creative way in which you get people involved. It has been incredible, and so we truly appreciate all of it. But just taking it back to Flightline, and by the way, there's a great video if you all want to go to West Point Thoroughbreds social media of, I think it's Jeff Lifson actually, talking about this colt because he was sold as a yearling before he headed into the ring there that night, selling for that $1 million, and just describing what was so captivating about him. What do you remember about the sale?
Well, I do remember Jeff because, he's been around a long time. He's been with us. We got together at the Breeders' Cup in 2004, which was at Lone Star. So I don't know, that's almost 20 years.
Yeah, wow.
Gone by way too fast, Ren. But I just remember him being a dazzling presence. And I mentioned this after the race. Like Bill Farish, I saw the sparkle in Bill's eye, and he was, he definitely wanted to play a part. He sold the colt for Summer Wind, and then he put the partnership, the Woodford boys and that group in for a piece of them. So I think everything just fell together, but everything fell in together. But I just remember him being a dazzling presence is the way I describe it.
Well, you look at this horse, and like you said, dazzling presence. One of the things that is quite unique, of course, is he has that scar on his butt, on that, I believe, the right side. What is that from? I don't know if I've ever heard the backstory on that.
Yeah, so it was interesting. David and Gordo buys all our horses. He's our
best eyes. Yes.
He's pretty accomplished.
Yes, I would say so.
To say the least. And you can't say enough because he's, this is really what is, he loves being around horses and he loves evaluating young horses. And, there are several people who I think have established themselves at the very top of the game, but David's one of them, and I give him so much credit because he was the one instrumental in putting together several of the entities that now own Flightline. So I just remember all fall. I remember the Mayberries in Ocala who broke Flightline. They were touting him very, very early. And the first time in what it would have been 2020 that David went to Ocala to see the horse, there was a commotion at the barn. David was at the racetrack. And anyway, he ended up getting caught as he walked out of the stall and on a nail or whatever it was. I don't think it was a nail. It just there was something that got into his hip and then he got spooked a little bit, and he really tore his hip up, and you see the scar. The scar is literally, that big, and they did a good job fixing the wound, but they said it. They weren't really worried about the aesthetics part of it. They were worried about getting that thing back together, so he had as good of a shot as possible to get to the races. And I give that veterinary team credit, because they all converged. But it took quite a few months to even get the saddle back on him. So that's the backstory of that wound and that scar.
I can't even imagine. Okay, here you have this $1 million yearling, and that happens. So just the stress of that. But now I have to say, part of me is wondering if it's possible that whatever happened in there just made the sinew and the muscle go back together in such a way that he's even freakier than maybe he might have been.
I can't argue with that,
right?
Because obviously that sinew and everything works on this colt, and man, he's you try to think of superlatives, and obviously we're biased, and you can't sound too outlandish, but I've said to people, what has made the biggest impact, aside from his actual performances on the racetrack, are people that I really respect across the industry that have made the comments. And I love when they start out, and I know they're going to talk about Flightline, and they start out by saying, I've been in this business for 45 years. I've been in this business for 42 years. And then they go on to elaborate on their outlook on Flightline. So it's really a blessing. And I know I can speak for the entire partnership. We are all humbled beyond belief to be in the positions that we're in, and to be in position, because he is greatness embodied in a racehorse, and it's just a pleasure to be around him.
And just a product of love. I mean, everybody in this equation is rootable. When you look at the program that Summer Wind Farm has, Jane Lyon, she's right there. When these foals are born, she's right there rubbing them down and just nuzzling on them. And it is an understatement to say that she really enjoys horse racing. I mean, this is what she lives and breathes. So the fact that he came out of that program, they're being out of Feathered, who, by the way, I actually have some pictures here, because Summer Wind Farm gave us some updates on, let's see if I can find the right Twitter handle here. Let's see. Yes, this is it right here. So here's Feathered. Oh, the tweet's going to open up. Okay, so here she is. It says, while celebrating homebred Flightline's brilliant Met Mile win, we are extra excited about his dam 10-year-old Feathered by Indian Charlie, her yearling colt by Curlin, and her filly foal by Into Mischief. Feathered, Flightline, and family will keep us soaring for years. So here's the Curlin colt, half brother. And then here's the Into Mischief filly. And so adorable, and it's just awesome to see the relations of a horse like this, who's already so exciting. Now, he did win by winning. Well, actually, before we go to that, I have this too, because you were talking about him at Mayberry Farm, and I think it's kind of fun to see a horse sort of in the rough before he becomes that sparkling diamond. And here he is in the I mean, this is the very early stages of training right here. So
yeah, that's in November. We had a partner from South Florida, Gary Baglieber, who actually went to the Air Force Academy, but we're still friends. And yeah, so I remember the day he shot this. Obviously, he did a good job, but that is Flightline on the lunge line in the round pen at Mayberry's Farm. So yes, that he's only about 3 months out of the Saratoga sale when they took this video,
which is it's really incredible. just how important that first foundational training is. And as you said, here he is in the round pen lunging. Lunging, of course, important. It gets the horse to not only get their exercise, but get them to get nice and round, get them to listen to instruction. Oh, we don't need that on here. Um, you know, in case anybody's looking down to minimize their belly fat, there you go. But in any case, it's very important in getting them nice and supple. And again, just in the beginning stages there of learning their lessons. Let's see here. Flightline is a freak. I've seen a lot of good ones, and this dude is special. Stay sound, Flightline. Absolutely. And that's the thing on the forefront of everybody who owns a horse. Doesn't matter what the level, you want that horse to stay sound. He's had only 4 starts over the career. What has been the line of training into basically taking the time with him racing?
Yeah. Well, I certainly acknowledge that people, understandably, and I think with reading, I think they're reasonable to say he hasn't been sound. I'll offer you another perspective, an insider's perspective, and that perspective is this: he had that wound that was really, really severe, which took up a big part of his 2-year-old year, and he got to the races in April. So he's never had surgery, and he's never had any major issue. He got a quarter crack after his first start, ended up running in his second start at the end of the Del Mar meet. And then, we had a decision. I say we, ultimately John Sadler, had a decision whether to come back and to run in the Breeders' Cup, in the sprint or the mile. And John and everybody was in accord, just thought he was asking too much for a horse that had only run 2 times, and being a 3-year-old. Sure, people want to say, "Oh, you've been delicate." We just thought it was the right thing, and I think when
you're doing right by the horse.
Yeah, and so I know that it's one thing to talk about that; it's another thing to do it time after time. And I appreciate the fact that we have partners that have put that really as their mantra, and have lived by that. And John, being the captain of the ship, really has exhibited a great judgment time after time. And so he wins the Malibu, and about 2 weeks later he had a little bout of colic. So he spent about 2.5 to 3 weeks out of training, and then like a month later he strained a hock after a breeze. So okay, I get it. People want to say he's not sound. I don't agree. And I think you're going to see, when you look at the works, which every work this horse has ever had is on YouTube. So if you look at the spacing, he's worked every week, for the last 12 or 13 weeks.
And ridiculously well. I mean,
yeah, he's a good workhorse, but I think that gives you some indication when you look at last fall between the race at Del Mar and the Malibu. Right, you'll see he worked just about every weekend. It was really just a race, timing and spacing issue. But look, we're going to come back and we're going to run in the Pacific Classic, and we have a big circle around the Breeders' Cup Classic. And John Sadler, I quite frankly can't think of anybody better for a horse like this to land in their hands across the country, across the world, than John Sadler, because he's he loves this horse. And I said to him before the Met Mile, I said, obviously we'd love to win today, but the work that you and your team have done, I think has been nothing less than superlative and just out of this world. Your expertise and your focus and your attention to detail and the horsemanship that you've displayed, I'll say it. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll say it. And I know it's you have to be very careful, but I think his body of work, especially with this horse, indicates that he's among the best in the history of our game from a trainer standpoint.
We'll see if he can ride along with him on this incredible journey into the Hall of Fame because this horse has already got a resume that I'm sure it has you thinking, right? That he will himself be inducted one day. What you're just even going back to it, how do you know you have so many great horses? You guys are regulars at the sale. They're picking out these amazing talents, and you have a wonderful stable of trainers. How do you decide which horse goes to which trainer? How did you decide Flightline was going to go to John Sadler?
Well, so we bought the horse. David bought the horse for West Point and the Horoneses, right? Because Stephanie Horones was there at the sale, and she actually, I remember her. She fell in love with this horse,
Oh,
the first time she saw him, and she's been around a lot of good horses. It's amazing. They've been in the game a relatively short period of time, and the success that they've had is really been incredible. They were owner of the year. They won an Eclipse Award. They've had Eclipse Awards. They've had stallions. They've had mares. Really top end horses. So I do remember she was smitten with this colt very, very early in the process. So, and they raced strictly with John Sadler, and we continue to believe, while I know California has their distinct challenges. Where you have challenges, you also have opportunities, and we're big believers that there's a lot of opportunities out in California right now, to campaign horses. And so it was a very easy decision when the Horoneses got involved. And Woodford, they run all across the country. They're usually taking pieces, right? You have Sienna Farm, the Manganeros, who they've been partners with us. They're partners with us on First Captain. We owned Always Dreaming together. Yeah. And then Summer Wind, they rounded out the partnership, and we probably could have done quite a bit more because he was very, very popular at the sale. And now, with the advent of these partnerships of the end users getting together, I'm always on the lookout. I want to buy into horses. I want our partners to buy into horses. So there's a lot of viscosity at these sales because people are always looking to join forces, especially now because we've seen these partnerships, the mega partnerships, have so much success.
oh my gosh. I kind of have chills just thinking about the whole thing. And I hope I'm not putting too much weight or expectation on this horse's back by just already projecting ahead what could be. But it's also as if there's almost a bit of when you were talking about, for example, the scar, it kind of made me think of, I don't know if you read comic books growing up or whatnot, but the superhero origin stories, right? There's always something bad that seemingly happens to the superhero that creates them.
Yes.
Right? So
I know what you. I know exactly to what you speak. It's like it, right? Never easy, and greatness and true brilliance. There's always something. There's always something that tries to get you off track, and the true superstars. We can talk about the actual running of the race the other day.
Oh yeah, we were definitely gonna do that. I've got that.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a nice
they just find a way to win. That's the essence of, and that's why we all, I think we can agree when you talk about athletes and the ones that are at the very top end of the game, the Michael Jordans, the Mike Trouts, the people who are just so far above their peers. It's so cool to see them, but they always have stories. There, no situation I've read or learned about is without kind of interruption and or blips. And I think you see it with Flightline and the things we've dealt with. But I think we're on a pretty good path now.
I almost feel like they need to, next time he's featured on a broadcast, they need to incorporate some special effects and do as if, when lightning strikes and all the different feathers of the lightning go out.
Yes.
Just superimpose that over his butt.
Yes.
But yes, let's talk about the Met Mile. And you know what? You put a dumb, stupid grin on my face when you said this, because the Dirt Mile, a win and you're in for the big ass dirt fans Dirt Mile. But I was hoping that he was going to be pointed to the Breeders' Cup Classic, because being by Tappet, I mean, me and Charlie can still, that pedigree and the way he runs and the adversity he faced going against a field of, I think all horses in that race except for one was a Grade 1 winner. Everyone but one, including our Breeders' Cup Sprint champion from last year, Aloha West. But Speaker's Corner was coming off 3 consecutive wins, last out in the Carter Handicap, and Flightline on the rail, tardy from the blocks, and then just adversity. And we'll go ahead and watch it. Basically gives this field a head start. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to share the screen and find the right replay. Let's see. So here it is.
For the Hillendale Metropolitan Handicap. And they're off, and it was a slow start for Flightline. He is quickly moving up now on the inside of Speaker's Corner, and Flightline had a steady there. Flightline had a steady.
What are you thinking watching this?
On the outside is
Yeah, well, I have it's a long way over to Belmont, and I don't have great, I have decent vision, but I realized that I saw him at the back of the pack, and I knew if I'm Alvarado and I'm on Speaker's Corner, I'm thinking about Flightline every jump, especially in the first quarter mile, and he rode. Race road. If you look at the head on, he dropped over very quick. He kind of gave Pratt a spot to come in, and he shut the door. We backed up. We tried to go through the door again. He shut the door again, and so he had the class and the athletic ability and the mindset to move out a couple paths and to go outside of him. So when you go outside of a horse, you can't shut the door again. And
no, right.
I'm sure if we would have tried to go forward through that hole, he would have shut the door again. And I think it just proved, a horse that to overcome that adversity. I think it indicated to a lot of people, especially the doubters, that, man, this horse is a cut above in so many ways.
And this, again, he's beating Grade 1 winners in this race, everybody. It's not like, cupcake field, and he gave them a head start. This is just incredible. Somebody, I'm going to show their comment here in just a moment. Somebody, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, gosh, right here. Slow start, never asked, wrapped up late. Yeah, it goes 133 and change. Flightline gave me goosebumps watching Met Mile. Absolutely. Eileen, guys, I'd give a little credit to Sire Tappet. Absolutely. Tappet is.
I remember, I don't know what year, his first crop, what was it? Probably 2006 or 7.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I remember I bought a Tappet at the March sale who could really run. He ended up, winning, kind of 7 or 8 races. He's turned into a 50 claimer, but he ran till he was 8 or 9 years old, and we also had a really good colt in 2014 by the name of our Ring Weekend, who was a Grade 1 winner on the grass, and so we've always been a big fan of Tappet. So I agree. Let's give him all the credit in the world for being the leading sire. And we're going to give him one of the leading sires of all time. When you look at his durability and the progeny, I mean, what a success story.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that I always love about Tappet, of course, when we talk about getting stamina from him, I mean, being a son of Pulpit by AP Indy, that carrying through that AP Indy line, I don't know. I have this giant, as people do know who do follow me, I have this giant spot in my heart for AP Indy. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's amazing on his own. Won the Belmont right there at at Belmont Park over Big Sandy, of course. And then at 3 years old, wins the Breeders' Cup Classic. And I don't know, there's some tickle going on my throat for some reason right now,
No
which is why
problem.
I'm having a little bit of a problem talking. But
Yeah, well, I tell you, when you talk about AP Indy, I was thinking about that today because I know we talked about this about Flightline's pedigree, and you know, when you think about AP Indy, and you think about a horse like this, like you know, the stats are unequivocal. When you look at the horses that sell for a lot of money, the vast majority of them don't turn out, and so the horses that become stallions oftentimes are not the big dollar horses. So AP Indy was probably the first really big dollar horse who ended up being a leading stallion. So we'd love to follow that path. You know, obviously
yeah,
he cost a lot of money, rightfully so, because he was the object of a lot of interest and a lot of attention as a yearling. You know, he's having a really, really good career on the racetrack. And, you know, certainly we're thinking about, about Flightline's life as a stallion. I'm not sure when that's going to be. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to give anybody code, but I do know that we are just about everybody that's in the partnership. We all love the racetrack, and we realize that that our business really needs stars to stay around. And, you know, so look, I know it's not going to be easy, but, there could be a chance that we run him as a 5-year-old.
wow.
I'm not the decision maker, but I do know that, it's not off the table.
I love hearing that. I do. It's kind of funny. Just going back to talking about Tappet real quick again, not only do you get stamina imparted, I mean, again, he is one of the representatives of this AP Indy line, being again by Pulpit. Pulpit is son of AP Indy. But another reason everybody loves AP Indy is just, that heir to greatness being by Seattle Swoon out of a Secretariat mare. But also Tappet on that bottom side. I mean, he's out of an unbridled mare. You've got Nijinsky in the mix. So you have distance, you have surface flexibility. And so that's always something about Tappet that people, I think, have gone to the well, because you could get any type depending on what mare you sent to him.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you do. You can and you do.
And we're going to talk more about that later, because you have a Tappet colt that I'm already drooling over, who actually happens to be from the same family as Flightline. So yep. I'm pretty excited, but we're going to get to him in a minute. But you wanted to say something else?
No, when you think about it, like a horse like this, there are no holes. And by that, I mean, when somebody looks at him as a racehorse, which is first and foremost, they have to perform on the racetrack, and there's no holes. He can deal with adversity. He's run a hole in the wind, 4 straight times. We think that a mile and a quarter is going to be no problems. But when you look at his page and you look at his physical, quite frankly, I don't say this in an arrogant way or boastful. We are humbled right beyond belief. But there probably has not been a stallion prospect on the precipice of going to the stallion barn. I don't know, maybe in the history of our game. I know people might be in a position where they would have a differing opinion, but I mean, he's as close to the total package as you can get. And, for that, we're excited short term, and we're certainly excited long term. And it's an incredible road that we've been on and path, and it's going to continue, hopefully.
Oh my gosh, when I just even look at the past performances, debuts 105 Beyer, winning by 13 1/4 lengths. Then comes back at Del Mar, 114 Beyer, 12 3/4 lengths. And then the Malibu, grade 1 Malibu, 118 Beyer, 11 1/2 lengths, and had what happened at the start of the Met Mile. Who knows what that margin would have been? 112 Beyer. And he looks at total ease doing it. He never looks like he's being really gotten into. He looks like he's a horse who just loves his job, that the you know, if anyone knows me, they know I love my puns. Sky's the limit with Flightline. He's just so sensational. We have another question here from, uh, he says, Terry, will he have a race before the Pacific Classic?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Obviously, John is going to be and has been the decision maker, for our group. And the beautiful thing is we have partners that just don't say that and commit to that. They support that. And so no, I think his the next time he walks in the starting gate will be the Pacific Classic. I do know he just left. He's in the air. He's flying back to California as we speak. So he'll get back there, and I'm sure he'll get back to the racetrack before within the next couple of days, and we'll get started on the journey to the Pacific Classic.
Oh my gosh! Well, we have. I could talk about Flightline all day. We do have other horses to talk about. Before we do, though, I love this video that you all captured the day after the race. Let me see here if I can find it again. It is the stall visit. I mean, hello. And just out of curiosity, I noticed something there on his neck. Is that just some ointment of some kind, or is that a pattern? Does he have some white hairs in there?
No, a couple of people asked me that in the paddock when you walk by. It's just a birthmark.
I love it. You know what it
that
almost
you see.
looks like? It almost looks like good boy, like from above, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
It
goodness.
just has such a beautiful eye to him, and if you look at some of the pictures of him in the paddock, I think he knew leading up to the race. He certainly gave us the indication. It's not easy. You think about what we asked this horse to do.
Yeah.
He hadn't run in 6 months. We flew him across country. He was on Big Sandy, and right then he had the adversity,
Yeah.
and he still runs a mile and 33 and change, and he does it with the style and grace and the charisma that he did it with. And it's like, that's we haven't seen that really all these things being thrown at a horse. You probably wouldn't think that you would want to do that, but he's so special that he doesn't give us a whole lot of agita with anything that that we've asked him to do. And it's it's just a spot that it's incredible, and we all pinch ourselves
I know, right?
on a daily basis.
I want to join Team West Point. Come on, my gosh, you guys! It really truly is special too, because when you have connections who you can tell they don't take anything for granted. It makes it all the more endearing to see you guys have this type of success. And the one question I did forget to ask you regarding that performance, because I thought it was actually kind of crazy. Before they went, they were doing pre-race analysis. I was actually listening to Gary Stevens, who who doesn't respect him, Hall of Famer, right? And he was talking about when he would ride horses there at Belmont, one of the things he always had in mind when he was sitting there in the gate was breaking from the gate sharply because of the sand sort of like collapsing from underneath the foot of the horse. Is that kind of what happened there at the start? Why he kind of came out just a touch slow?
Yeah, well, I'm sure the ground broke out from underneath him a little bit, so I'm sure. But the other thing John said, John took a responsibility, which nobody really thought, but he just said he had taken him to the gate a couple times out in California, and he'd taken him to the gate up at Belmont, and he just thought he kind of went to sleep on him, and so
he's just
I guess
chill.
That was part of it. But the other thing is you look at his works last fall, and you look at the difference, and you look at especially the last couple, and the nature with which he came away from the pole, and he just was so much more content and gathered and off the bridle. And out of the bridle, and last year all he wanted to do was go fast and get to the wire and gallop out, and so I think you think about Juan Leyva, who is a jockey and is won a Breeders' Cup and is John's assistant. He's the only person that gets on him aside from Pratt. So the work that he did with this horse and the his ability to help Flightline on the mental side and to move him forward, to get him settled and to increase and to enhance the the maturation process, just out of this world. I mean, when they realize it, they know what they have. They know that in all likelihood they're not going to get another horse in their lifetime. We aren't either, and so they say it. Flightline is the first thing they think about when they wake up in the morning. And the rest of this comment, right? The last thing they think about at the end of the day. So I mean, they know that they have a good sense of their part, the part that they play in this puzzle and in the mosaic that is Flightline.
I love it. So as if there's anything else we could talk about, there's still plenty. And we're going now to talk about one of your other older horses in the barn, or at least not a 2-year-old anyway. And we're talking about First Captain, who won the Pimlico Special in his last start. I just wanted to share that as well. And one of the things here, he's with Shug, and they tried blinkers for the first time with him. And according to, it was Luis Saez aboard, I believe.
Yes, he was.
And he said they made a big difference.
I had a pretty good sense. He's in the black and gold and with the black blinkers, and I had a pretty good sense. Shug called me after he worked them the first time in the blinkers, and he said, I really think we made a difference with this horse, just the way he carried himself. And we went in with a lot of confidence, but there again, I think we ended up 5 or 6 to 1. So Todd had a couple in there that were very, very legitimate, and the favorite was like 4 to 5 in there, wasn't he?
I think so.
Or even money.
No, even money, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I quite frankly, in the middle of the turn, I thought we were in for like a minor award, and so Louis, got him to the outside, and he just kind of kept coming, and he changed leads, and he just had that explosive turn of foot that he had displayed, quite a few times. He's had 5 wins, and he was the sale topper at the same sale that we bought Flightline. So David and Gordo, he had and I hopefully I think he's got a very good shot to be a Grade 1 winner too. We're going to run him in the Suburban in early July, and then we've got a big circle around the Jockey Club Gold Cup at Saratoga, which ironically,
yes, his sire's won twice.
His sire, yep, that, and the same day that Flightline runs on the West Coast. So to think out of the same sale at Saratoga, 2 beautiful horses with really top end pedigrees are going to be running in Grade 1s, going 10 furlongs on both coasts on the same day is pretty cool. But he put in an effort and really, really wanted to get to the wire first, and he did. And what a big thrill for all the partners. And Bobby Flay obviously bred the horse and stayed in, and he's been a pleasure to work with. I've gotten to know Bobby, and obviously
has he cooked for you yet, though?
Yeah, he hasn't yet, but I'll say it right now online that if we make this horse a Grade 1 winner and we explode that pedigree, we better have dinner, Bobby. And I'm putting you on the spot right now, but no, he's been really good to get to know. Really good to get to know.
Well, he bred the Mare America. I believe I can't remember if he bred her also or just owned her and then bred this colt. But the fun thing is, I mean, by Curlin and she being by AP Indy, so you have 2 Hall of Famers right there as the sire and the dam sire. Both of them Breeders' Cup Classic champions, of course. Got to give a shout out to that. But yeah, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, he won twice. So come on, why can't his son here do it for him? And he's got a great race record. Now he's 5 wins from 7 starts, and just a beautiful horse. And he didn't. It's not like he got a ton of pace to run at. I mean, you saw what they were coming up with that half, and he's still just down the lane, close.
Yeah. I mean, Louis was very happy with him, and as you can imagine, Louis, a rider at that level, they base every big weekend. They basically can go across the country, and I know Kieran McLaughlin, who's a really, really good buddy and a longtime buddy, and we were actually one of his first clients when he came back to the States after training in Dubai for Sheikh Mohammed. He called me the other day and he said, just know that wherever you go, we're with you, we're following you, which I thought was pretty cool. And we had a shot to catch up. And ironically, his 2 kids are Aaron and Ryan, the same first names that our 2 kids are. So, and we kind of watched them grow up together, and they're all 4 of them are doing very well. And the 2 girls are in the industry, Aaron. I know Aaron works at the Breeders' Cup and has really done a great job. And Aaron, my daughter, works with our company. And the 2 Ryans, didn't really migrate to the business. So it's just kind of ironic.
It is
the
kind
intersection
of
our families.
I love it. And if I remember right, I think Aaron's daughter, your granddaughter, and I have the same birthday. April 12th.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. April 12th. Actually, she just came up the steps, and I told my wife to pick her up. So she wanted to jump up with granddad.
He's welcome. She's welcome to join. And I still can't believe that you're a grandfather. That's crazy. You look so young, and I'm not just saying that, but maybe it's the excitement of the horses, right? I know.
Well, everybody told me, everybody to a person, and you see grandparents when they talk about their grandkids, that they just light up and they say it changes their life. And like I fell into that line very early. That's a line that is, you keep that, and they're a blessing, to parents, to see your kids happy and to see them being parents is just, very, very special in so many ways.
Yeah, definitely. My daughter will be 4 on Friday. And that to me is already crazy, but she already talks about, and this always melts my heart. She just says, I want to be like you when I'm a mommy.
That's nice.
It melts my heart. Oh my gosh, melts my heart every time. But now let's talk about some 2-year-olds, because talking about sales toppers and these horses panning out for you, and just the odds of that, like you were discussing before, just incredible. But you did pick up Prosper, this horse, for $1.7 million. Let's go ahead and let people see what he looks like. Gorgeous. As you can imagine, a horse would look.
I hope so.
You're right. Now he's a son of City of Light, and City of Light won the Dirt Mile. And he himself is a son of Quality Road. And then he's out of Anchorage, who's a daughter of the aforementioned and greatly beloved Tappet. This horse is with John Sadler. And let's just get the scoop on what you were expecting from him.
Yeah, well, City of Light, I think, is, he's got as big of a shot of and as good of a shot to make it as any young stallion in Kentucky. I think the market obviously was bowled over by the quality of of the horses that were presented at the sales last spring. There weren't that many of them, last fall, right? There weren't that many of them that went through the 2-year-old sales, but they're not June 2-year-old horses. They're going to take a little bit of time, and but I think when I looked across the spectrum, they got into very good hands and use a lot of end users. So that's as big of a part of the battle as anything is that them getting in the right hands and with people that know that you got to give them time, and you got to do the right things by them, and you can't be sucked into running at Saratoga and Del Mar when they really should run in October or November. But we all know that there's a big draw
Yeah.
and there's a that gravitational pull to run at Del Mar and Saratoga is very, very strong for
Oh,
a lot
yes.
of us. For a lot of us, but so anyway, that we're very excited, and he's kept the demeanor and the presence of a sales topper with uh, the Mayberries, and to say we're excited about him is an understatement.
Well, he looks beautiful. He looks like a horse who will eventually want to go those 2 turns for you. Obviously has the pedigree to back it up. And one the other thing, and I should specify, I mean, when I say 1.7 million, it's also relative to how old they are. 1.7 million is a yearling out there at Keeneland September. Um,
Yes.
and
Well, Mike Talla is has become a great friend. He's a client of David and Gordo's. Has the vast majority of the horses are trained by John Sadler, and just a really fun guy, really
yeah,
fun guy. And there are some people in the business that when you spend time around them and you hit it off, and God, he's been so good for us, because we would not have been in a position for any number of reasons to have bought into to a yearling or a 2-year-old for that kind of money and send them out anywhere. So it's really the power of the partnership with all these horses, because very rarely, Ren, uh, these days, do we buy a horse without outside partners. It
yeah.
just doesn't make any sense anymore. It really doesn't. The game has changed, and God, it's when you can do it with fun people,
Yeah.
and sportsmen, like the Horonuses and Mike Talla, all the people that are in the Woodford group, Sienna, um, and Summer Wind, and all the other partners that we've been. It's just fun. It's fun to share. It's
It
fun to
is.
share the ups and downs, and I think more and more people are realizing, man, I want to get into that aspect of the game.
I love that, and I know you took a lot of inspiration when putting West Point together from Cot Campbell and the idea of this syndicate.
Yeah, yes. In the early '90s, there were just a couple. Dogwood, you had Team Valor, you had Centennial, and they had a good bit of success. And then, of course, now, like, there are some real, they're competitors, obviously, and we're trying to get clients, just like they are. But Eclipse and a Centennial. Of course, Donegal, they won
Yes.
the Belmont. So it was a very good weekend for partnerships. And, Jerry Crawford said it. It's like, people realize now it's still the sport of kings, but that doesn't mean you necessarily have to be a king to get into the game. And I thought he said it very well,
Yeah.
that, people all across, and just think, those 2 horses, you think about Flightline, and you think about Mo Donegal, and the scope and the breadth of people involved, as well as their friends and family. Like, those 2 winners have created more fans, and had cast the net of our great game in a way that very, very few other weekends have.
Undoubtedly. Oh gosh, I mean, just even looking at the winner circle for both was incredible. And I just look at this, and with the I can't remember who actually said it, but nobody ever something along the lines of nobody ever died when they had a good 2-year-old in the barn. I can't remember who's the first person to ever said it, but in any
Well, that
case,
that that was Woody Stevens, I believe,
was
right?
it
Because Woody
Woody?
said, he said too. There were a lot of quips that are attributed to Woody Stevens. He said when you come across the George Washington Bridge, i.e., when you fly into Newark and you come across the GW Bridge, you got to deal with 2 things. You got to deal with Woody Stevens, and you got to deal with Big Sandy. So I think he was the one who attributed the Belmont Surface to Big Sandy.
Oh gosh. Well, by the way, the Woody Stevens, Jack Christopher, hello. And I guess I can't
Very nice.
I can't remember where this quote came from, but I guess like Chad Brown was comparing Jack Christopher, that he's his ghost zapper, because Chad Brown, he worked obviously around these great horses when working with Bobby Frankel. But uh if he's like ghost zapper, I mean, not to make you compare any, Flightline to anybody, but has there been any similarities with any particular horse in your mind?
Yeah. I asked my good buddy Dale Romans about that, and he said that that's like trying to compare Mike Trout to Willie Mays, right?
Yeah,
It's like it's
I
not
agree.
fair to either one of them, and all you do is you create an endless do loop. But I guess what I've said is it's just very cool to be in the conversation. I'll
Yeah,
let other people, kind of opine on that, and it's a lot of fun. Everybody looks at social media, so there's never going to be a definitive answer. But I just hope that at some point in the future, decades from now, that there'll be a superstar horse, and that somebody will say, he's in the same league as Flightline and Ghost Zapper and Seattle Slew, and you fill in the blank.
I love
So
that.
that's all. That's all. I think if that happens, we'll be satisfied. But we're not going to let anything take away from this journey. And
Oh, no,
I
you
think
shouldn't.
once you get wrapped up in that, but it's still fun. It really
Oh
is.
gosh, yeah, because I would say if there is a comparison, it's that to my mind, Ghost Zapper, and not just me, and my husband Matt has said this many times before. Ghost Zapper could have won whatever division of the Breeders' Cup he wanted. He could have,
Absolutely.
and I think horses like Flightline hearken to that. That they're so versatile. I mean, I'm sure you could put him on anything at any distance, and you're still going to get a grade one performance out of him. So I think that's where the comparisons where people want to bring names like that into the conversation when you see a horse who is so dynamic. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, going back to horses that we're hoping or will also be now from that same. By the way, I believe I was right there with you guys after you had purchased Prosper because I was there doing the Future Stars forecast live streaming and I sat with Jeff Lifson. I was
Yes.
trying to get the both of us in the same shot together. So it was kind of fun being there at the war table, so to speak.
Yep. I
As
remember.
all of this was going on, laptops up and notes flying and this way and that. So very exciting to, as I was with Flightline, be there when these horses went through the ring. Now we're going to talk about the next one because Prosper was the yearling sales topper there. Wayhill Road, 1.6 million by Quality Road, who again, sire of City of Light himself. And then the Dam here, Catch the Moon, Colt himself as a half to grade one Haskell winner, Gervin, and then Midnight Bourbon accomplished. Sadly, Midnight Bourbon recently passed away.
Yeah.
I think that was colic. I
It
can't
was.
recall. Yeah.
It was, and it was. I know it was a tough blow to Steve Asmussen
Yeah.
and the Winchell team who does such a good job. And it was a tragic day, it really was. And his half brother Gervin, has had some really nice horses. His first crop are 2-year-olds.
Yes.
So
Just had a big winner, right?
Yeah, it's a very active family, and Shug has this colt at Fair Hill. He's probably about ready to go up to Belmont, and we'll be in the first 3/4 maiden special weight at Saratoga for this horse. He's a really cool horse, and they have to do it on the racetrack, but he's given us every indication that he has a pretty good shot.
Yeah, I would hope so. Because obviously the money faith was put in. But no, he is beautiful, and I also have to say, a side note, mentioning City of Light and Quality Road, it is really fun when you see at Lane's End a lot to have both father and son standing there. And Quality Road,
Yeah,
of
it
course,
is.
just iconic for that for that forelock. I always look for the progeny.
Beautiful.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, he should be doing those Pantene commercials or maybe the herbal essences.
Yes.
They can make some side sponsorship money with that. So now we're gonna talk this name. If you have this name, there's a lot of pressure, okay? But let's see. This horse's name, Nuclear.
Yep. Nuclear.
Why
Which,
justify?
yeah,
And this
has
one,
really made a great impression. He's with Sadler, and he'll probably run at Del Mar. He's a colt that we own with Mike Talla, and yeah, I mean, I guess a month ago we might have been on the precipice of of some kind of nuclear action from a guy over in Russia, but hopefully that's settled down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's a quality horse, and we think he's also got a big shot, to be, to have a presence on the trail.
To be the good kind of explosive, $1,550,000 yearling here. And I got to give a shout out too, because this horse was actually bred by Stonehaven Steadings, who also bred Corniche, who won our Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year, champion 2-year-old colt. My friend Leah O'Meara, that's her and her family, who run Stonehaven Steadings. So I got to give them a shout out.
I will tell you, I'll jump in very quickly.
Yeah, of course.
About them, it's like, I mean, the results that they've had. I mean, there's some. If you handicap, and I think that's what more and more people are doing. They handicap the sellers and the consigners and the farms, but they're grade one. I mean, the success that they've had is, really outworldly. And he stayed in. The family has stayed in. They stayed in on a disc colt, and they've stayed in on a couple others, but. They're a horse that consignment I run to when I get to the September sale, because they, year after year, their results are astounding.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sure they appreciate hearing that if this gets back to them, but I'm sure you've told them in person anyway. But also, as far as this horse's family goes, family of champion, wait a while and looking at Lucky. So got some good credentials there. It's kind of fun to be from a female family that includes looking at Lucky, who's over there at Coolmore, and then Justified, Triple Crown champion at Coolmore as well, Ashford stud. So again, that is Nuclear for John Sadler there, and out at Santa Anita. Let me get to the next horse we've got. Okay. Those were the 3 top yearlings at Keeneland September. Now, there are a few other horses, because I think you had like 61 2-year-olds. There's no way I can talk about 61 2-year-olds. So I picked out a few more that I really was intrigued by. I'm going to save the one that I don't know, that just made my eyes pop for last. But these were 3 in particular that they're all beautiful, by the way, everybody. And if you do want to go explore, go to the West Point Thoroughbreds website. They are so good. I got to say, I was going to say one of, I'm going to say the best. Your website is the best website for anybody who wants to go through, look at who is on the roster. It's so thorough. Not only do you have all the photographs, you've got comprehensive videos from every stage of the horse being trained, moving, to the track, those workouts. It's amazing. So it really helps me out for what I do in getting the media to actually put some visuals to what we're describing.
Well, I'll reference that point. Dale Romans again, who is great with one-liners. He's one of the smartest people that I know, inside or outside of the business. And he says, like, a minute and 33 is not enough to satisfy all the blood, sweat, or the time, talent, and treasure that people put into this business. You have to give them. We're in the entertainment business. We're in show business. So to think that we're in an age when, like the old days, is just totally wrong. Like you have to give people a chance to enjoy this, the business, right? Win, lose, or draw. We know what the stats are. If you're very good, you win 2 out of 10 times. So that's kind of been our mantra, is to make sure we give our partners and the people who we team up with a chance to enjoy the whole experience. And I think other partnerships do the same thing. When trainers ask me, like, what do I need to do? I say to them, right, you need to realize you're in show business. Yeah. You have to be a horseman and train horses, but you also have to realize that people want to be entertained, and they want to have knowledge, and they want to learn, and they want to have communications and information. And I think David and Gordo and I were the same, in the sense that we want to get better. We want to get better, our company, And I think that's one of our focuses is on the, how do we interact with our partners? And so I think you see it. I'm very proud of my team and the job that they do, because they take it very seriously, to do everything we can to have that experience as good as possible.
Well, it's always so disheartening when you go to a website for a trainer or an ownership group and you can tell it hasn't been updated in over a year. And
Yeah.
And it's not because they haven't had news, but they just have decided for whatever reason that it wasn't worthy of their time to continue to post it there. Not everybody's on social media on the quick edible bites like Twitter and Facebook. A lot of people still like to go to websites and explore. I will say another outfit that does a great job is My Racehorse. They do a great job too.
Very nice. Very good. Yep.
And yeah, with the trainer interviews and all of that. But yes, again, 61 2-year-olds on that website, westpointthoroughbreds.com. And like I said, I can't talk about them all, but there were 3 in particular that just really caught my eye from both a physical and a pedigree standpoint, where I can tie it in also to Breeders' Cup. And one of those horses is going to be American Dollars by Honor Code. And this one, the dam here, Silk and Tassels by Elusive Quality. The mom is a half sister to Indian Miss, who produced Breeders' Cup Sprint and Eclipse Champion sprinter Matoli. And if you know who Matoli's half brother is, then you know that the other relation in there is Hot Rod Charlie, who's actually going to be contesting the Salvatore Mile at Monmouth. So that's really exciting. And this horse's physical just really caught my eye. He looks fast.
Yeah, he does. He's actually a Louisiana bred. He's made a very good impression on Dallas Stewart. He's probably, mid-August, but, very happy. And Honor Code,
yeah,
as they say, he ain't dead yet. He ain't,
no.
quote unquote, but, he's in the right place. And he's been sneaky good. And I think he's in a position where he'll have every shot to kind of to break through what he started in 2016 was his first year for Cover Mayor. So his first crop, got to the races in, I guess, 19. But, we like Honor Code as kind of the second coming, so to speak.
Well, this is a great question, actually. Who gets to name the West Point Thoroughbred yearlings and 2-year-olds?
Yeah, it depends. We don't really have a set protocol. Sometimes Mike Talla likes, and he's very good at it. So he'll name a bunch of horses that we buy together. And
doesn't he have a background in fitness? Not to interrupt you, but doesn't he like?
I think so. Yeah, he's had all different kind of business. He's a really good business person, and has done a lot of different things and uber successful, and just a really fun guy to be around.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, with the business of having in part been in fitness, I believe, if he knows with even horses, looking at an athlete, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the fun thing when we do get athletes from pro sports coming into racehorse ownership, if they recognize that same athleticism that you would see in a human when they're looking at these equines. But yeah, so this is American Dollars. And now I want to move on to this filly is just beautiful. We lost Empire Maker a couple of years ago. And so I believe she would be a last crop representative, if I'm not mistaken.
She is, yeah.
And this is Empire Maker daughter out of the mare Savoie. And this filly actually hails from the same family responsible for a horse who is near and dear to you in 2017's Kentucky Derby champ, Always Dreaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a beautiful filly. And David and Gordo put a package together, and a good number of his clients took parts of that package. And so we're always looking for creative ways, to skin the cat, so to speak. And this was one of them. And, he put a group of fillies together, just like he did a couple years ago. And out on the West Coast. Hard Not to Love was one of those.
Oh.
You know, she was a Grade 1 winner, sold for over $3 million, and so she's a product of that system. And the other thing I'll bring up, Sherry DeVoe. You know, she's a star in the making. You know, she worked for Chad Brown for a lot of years and has been around a lot of good horses and has really exploded. You know, her numbers are through the roof, but for good reason. You know, her horses run, they stay sound. She's a great caretaker. She has a great team, and she's married to David and Gordo too. So she's kind of got the whole package, and I expect her to be a very prominent figure in our game, you know, for years to come.
Definitely. And one of the things, and full disclosure, I'm friends with Cherie, but I would still say this even if I weren't. Her horsemanship is just exquisite because she has that insight, not only to know what she's looking at in terms of a horse looking like an athlete, as we were talking about, but she can suss out the nuance, and she can figure out how to fix a horse mentally too. It's really remarkable. I mean, she's shown me horses that just what she did differently to get them to respond in the way in which she was actually expecting them to behave. And it's just, again, that's one of those things. I feel like a horse either knows that like this person speaks their language or doesn't. And she is a horse whisperer. She is one of those horse whisperers. So again, this filly, Empire Maker Daughter, limited edition, out of the mare Safwa and from the female family of Always Dreaming, right there, based at Keeneland. Do you know when this horse or where she is in the program in terms of a debut?
Well, she's been very aggressive early, so I know Sherry's been working on getting her to settle some. So, I mean, she'll probably be at the earliest the latter part of the summer, first part of the fall. I know she really thinks she's quality, so she's not in a rush with her.
And that will hopefully result in you all being rewarded, just as you didn't rush through with Flightline and with Sadler. So, okay, now everybody, and all these horses are gorgeous. So I'm not trying to say one is prettier than the other. I'm just saying get prepared here, because I'm about to show you a horse who made my jaw drop because he's pretty much perfect. And the funny thing is, before I show him to you all, I was looking through the roster and I saw his picture and I said to myself, this horse is pretty much perfect. I mean, I've never seen him in person, but just looking at the photograph, the bone is perfect. The angles are perfect. The way, the amount of ground he covers is perfect. The look in his eye to me is perfect. And I thought to myself, okay, I need to show this horse for sure. And out of curiosity, then I went back to see what you all bought him for. Just $1.7 million. So I guess I have expensive tastes. But it is nice to know that my eye was justified in falling in love here. For you Tappet fans, this is a son of Tappet, and he is out of the mare named Pension. He is with Shug, and this horse is from the same female family as Flightline, because it is his granny is Grade 1 winner Furlough, and so it's the same family of Finder's Fee and Great, Fantastic Find and Dancing Spree. I don't know. He's remarkable looking to me.
Yeah. So Eddie Wood sold him that mare. We actually had a horse a couple of years ago out of that mare who could really run. He just had some ailments and he never got to the level he was destined to get to. But I know Eddie really loved this colt. Brian Graves and Anthony Beck actually bred him, and they stayed in on him, which is always good. As I mentioned, Lane's End and the Phippses are also partners with us on this colt. So we thought he was a really special horse, and that's one of the challenges at the top end. People are looking for quality. They're looking for the horses that have the inherent right to turn into Flightlines. And when that happens, and people have the wherewithal, you get into spots where you have to pay, and we try our best to use discipline, but sometimes at the sale, if you like a horse and you can circle the wagons and you can gather up other partners and you pay a premium. That premium is not as much of a sting as it would be if you were doing the whole thing yourself.
Very true. And I will say now you guys bought him this year as a 2-year-old out of the OBS sale. I think he breathed something like it was 20, and I think I have it here actually.
Yeah, he breathes fast, and that's what they do, and that's probably a whole nother story. And but fast horses,
Mhm.
Good horses are usually fast horses.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a school of thought that too much pressure is put on these 2-year-olds, but there's also another one that if that pressure is applied and they withstand it, and they come out of those 2-year-old sales, they're prepared to have really good careers. So look, that's why we do both. We go to the yearling sales and the 2-year-old sales, and we'll continue to do that because a good horse can, and they do come from anywhere and everywhere.
Well, this horse, to my eye, if I can just put that cap on for a moment, when I talk about a horse who makes an impression physically, this horse, his bone is just beautiful to me because he's got solid bone, nice flat knees. I mean, every angle is just, to me, it fits into the next. And there's no hiccup in the look of this horse. He is just absolutely beautiful, looks sleek, nice round hindquarter. So I might have already fallen in love. Now, he does not yet have a name?
Not yet.
Oh,
not yet, but he will shortly.
Okay, well, I'm sure you already are planning that it's going to be something special, but I would say make sure it's something that's so special that it'll look extra, extra nice on a trophy. So
Awesome.
Because he's gorgeous. I love him. We've got Eileen, who is our Tappet fan here. Beautiful. Yes, all Tappet horses seem to be that way. Perfect. That's how I fell in love with my boy. They turn heads. Look at essential quality. That is for sure. So what are the plans with this one? I mean, right now he's in Ocala still?
Yeah, he's in Ocala with Dr. Eisman. He's back in training. We just gave him a little bit of time off after the sale. So, I would imagine he'll join Shug up at Saratoga, and then I don't know if we get him to the race at Saratoga, but it shouldn't be too far into the fall. He'll see the starter.
Well, that's exciting, and there's so much more ahead too. I mean, so what are your immediate plans in terms of what you're most looking forward to in racing? Are you watching Royal Ascot as we now wrap this up? Because we did have two winning your ins today. I should give mention of that. I actually have this right here, so we can pop it on screen with the schedule. Okay, so we had the Queen Anne Stakes today, won by Baid. And then King Stand, of course, I was rooting for Golden Pal. If you guys all go back and watch the beginning of that race, he not only broke slow, he leapt out of the gate with his head cocked to the side. And so at that point, the race was over. So no Golden Pal there for us at the King Stand. However, we did see a tremendous performance from Nature Strip. So those two horses are now with tickets to the Breeders' Cup because the Queen Anne there is a win and you're in for the FanDuel Mile, and the King Stand a win and you're in for the Turf Sprint, which Golden Pal won last year. We also have more win and you're in action coming up tomorrow. The Prince of Wales's Stakes, a win and you're in for the Longines Turf, and then on June 16th, the Norfolk Stakes. That's the first actually win and you're in for the Future Stars Friday card because it is got a ticket to the Juvenile Turf Sprint waiting for the winner there. So yeah, you're watching all the pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, I am, and actually, I just made a note. I haven't been over to Ascot yet. I know I don't think I've encountered anybody.
I haven't either, though.
Industry. Yeah, so it's I think it's, especially over the last 10 years, it's really made a mark on a lot of us in the industry. So I put it into my system. Hopefully we'll within the next a year or two.
You gotta get that
my
top
wife Debbie
hat.
and I. Yes.
Oh, you gotta get the top hat, the tails. Y'all will look sharp.
So I'll give a shout out to Bobby Flay. Obviously our partner. He's got the good filly with Clement Pizza Bianca, a Breeders' Cup winner, was uber impressive in the prep race at the Preakness that weekend, and
Yeah.
I know he's very confident, and I know Christoph is as well. So, sending good vibes to those guys over there.
Yes, we have to root on our Breeders' Cup. Philly's turf champion there in Pizza Bianca, stellar Philly, as you're saying, for Bobby Flay and Christophe Clement. And then, if you're watching earlier, William is saying, how impressive was Baid? Never left the bridle, possibly going to the Juddmonte International. I mean, yeah, people are already. You know how we were talking about the comparisons that people make. I've seen so many people already now saying Frankel in the same breath as Baid, and it does put, I think, pressure on the horse. You don't. I mean, they're not machines, but it's still kind of fun to hope that you see something in that same level of just generating that excitement and fandom.
Yeah.
But I get
speaking of Frankel, there's a really, really good documentary on Amazon Prime. If anybody gets a shot to see it, I've watched it probably 4 times. It's a stunning. It chronicles his entire career and the connections and the storylines. But it'll be very enjoyable for anybody if they take the time to watch it.
Okay, well, I got to put that on the list. Especially, I like just sticking. With entertainment being crazy, I like sticking with the horses. They never really let you. They never really let you down unless you've wagered on them.
Yes.
But no,
Yes.
the horses. That's the thing. With sports, I don't know if you're involved in any other sports. I know you. Well, I'm sure with your son having played soccer, you follow that a bit. But
I do. Yep.
There's just something about the horses and just the nobility and the fact that they've been with us for thousands of years, that we wouldn't be where we are in society and as a civilization without the horse walking beside us and carrying us on their back. Speaking of, before I let you go, there is somebody who is asking this. How could Ryan not migrate to the horse ownership business? What is he doing these days after his soccer career?
He actually, I'm very proud of him. He's getting married next Saturday up in Saratoga Springs.
Oh, congratulations!
The Borisnack's Farm, which is a really cool, cool place, and just a Kentucky farm on the banks of Saratoga Lake, and he's just graduated from graduate school, and he's going to Dallas in the fall. And he accepted an offer at McKinsey. So very, very proud. He just didn't have quite the passion that he thought he needed for the horse business. But he loves the business, and he loves to bet, and he loves to follow. He just didn't want to enter into it as a career.
Well, he seems like a stellar kid. I remember meeting him along with my husband, and we both were discussing after we left the conversation just how impressive he was. They always talk about that first impression. I mean, it was above and beyond.
Yes.
So you should be very, very proud. Same thing with Erin. I mean, she's amazing too. And so,
great.
I mean,
really,
again,
really good.
We wish you all the best. And if I'm just trying to think of how the best way to leave this on a stay tuned note, because I mean, you know what? I'm just going to let you take it, because you're, again, as we open the show, I cannot stress enough that we need more Terry Finleys in racing, because you have been this ambassador for our sport. You have just exemplified integrity and putting the horses first, as we've already discussed, and how these horses have been placed and their race spacing and everything else that goes into it. But I mean, just as far as how you look at racing now, what you're looking forward to most in these coming weeks and into the Breeders' Cup, and just any other parting thoughts, not shots, but thoughts that you have.
Look, we've never been this loaded, if you will, Ren. So it's exciting, but everything's, everybody knows, every owner in the country with a group of 2-year-olds, they should be excited. They should be. You have a couple horses, you have hope. You have a lot of horses, you have hope. But I'll summarize it like this: the games. We believe in giving back to the game in several different ways, and that's really what I think our mandate is, to give back to the game and to be good ambassadors. But there's no doubt that the game has given me and my family and my partners so much more than we've given the game, and we'll we'll forever be indebted to this great game, because it's as good as it gets in so many different ways, and we are lucky to be part of this game, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm blessed to be able to speak with somebody like you, and thank you so much for the generosity of your time and your insight. We wish you all the best, continued success, and thanks for taking us along along for the ride with Flightline. It's just
Our pleasure.
Thank you so
Our
much,
pleasure.
everybody. Terry Finley of West Point Thoroughbreds. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. The Future Stars Forecast will be back here next Tuesday at 4. Ta-ta for now.
Take care.